Good morning. Today we're going to talk about graphing linear functions. Graphing linear functions. So first we're going to talk about how do we graph. Then we're going to talk about what do we mean by a linear function and how do we graph it. So let's start by a warm up. So this is your paper. You're going to draw your x-axis and then you're going to draw your y-axis. So this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis, and now we want to number the x-axis, put the numbers on the x-axis, so where the two axes meet is our 0, and then we have 1 on the right, positive numbers on the right, 1 2 3 4 5 6, negative numbers on the left, -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Okay, positive numbers up for the y-axis and negative numbers down. Okay, so let's start plotting points and reading the coordinates of each point. Before we do that, now our plane is divided into how many parts? 4 parts. The 4 parts, each part is called a quadrant. So this is the first quadrant, and this is the second quadrant, the third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. Okay, so if I have a point here, so this point is in the first quadrant, here in the second, and here in the third, and here is in the fourth quadrant. So let's read some points. Now this point is our origin. It's called the origin. What's the coordinate of this point? Its x is 0 and its y is 0. So this point is 0 0. So this point O, the origin, is 0 0. Now the next point, point x, its x is -2 and its y is 1. So we always read the x first and then y. Its x coordinate, where is it on the x-axis? It's at -2. Where is it on the y-axis? It's at 1. How about this point? So x is -2 and 1. Now the next point is the y. Its x is -4 and its y is -2. So this point is in which quadrant? It's in the third quadrant. So it's -4 and -2. Next point, this point is on the axis. It's not in any quadrant, so it's on the axis, on the x-axis. So this point has an x of 3 and a y of 0. It doesn't have, the y is at 0. How about this point? This point is 4 and 0 and 4. The x is 0 and the y is 4. Okay. Now, what do we mean by a linear equation? What is the linear equation or the linear function? The linear function is the first degree function. So what do we mean by a first degree function? First degree means your x and y is a power 1. So your power is 1. Power of the variables is 1. So is this a first degree equation? So if the y is of power 1 and the x is of power 1, so this is a first degree equation. Yes, this is a first degree equation. Is this a first degree equation? Yes, x and y are of power 1, so this is a first degree equation. How about this one? No, this is not, because we have a power of 2 for the x, so this is not a first degree. This is also it's not a first degree because we have a power of 4 for the y. And this function is not a first degree because the x is of power 3. This function is, yes, it's a first degree because the x and the y are of degree 1, of power 1. This is power 1 and this is power 1. We don't, so this is a first degree equation. Okay. So how do we graph the first degree equation or the first degree function? Now, let's first just, let me ask you something. If you have one point, how many lines can you pass through this point? This is 1, this is 2, and this is a third line. That's it? No, we have infinite number of lines passing through this point. Just one point, we have infinite numbers. But if we have 2 points, how many lines do we can we pass through these 2 points? We have just one line passing through these 2 points. So if I want to graph a linear function, I need 2 points to graph. So why do I say I need 3 points, graphing by using 3 points? Because 2 for graphing and 1 for a check, just in case I made a mistake or anything while calculating. So let's start graphing by using 3 points. This is our first function. It says graph y equal x. So what are we going to do first? We're going to draw our plane, and we are going to draw a table for x and y. We're going to assume any numbers for x and y, for x, and we get the corresponding y for it. So say I will assume that x is 0. So what do I get? It says that x is equal to y, so y will be the same as x, 0. If I assume 1 for x, then y will be the same. If I assume 2 for x, then y will be the same. And the points I'm going to plot on my plane is 0 and 0, 1 and 1, 2 and 2. Where is 0 and 0? It's the origin point. 1 and 1 is right here. And 2 and 2 is right here. And then I am going to join these points together and draw a line. Okay. Next, graph the line y equal x plus 5. So just erase the board. Okay. Now we're going to make our table, and then we're going to assume any numbers for x. This time I'm going to assume -2 for x, -1, and 0. Any numbers you can assume for x and get the corresponding y for it. So y is going to be equal, for the first one, -2 plus 5, which is equal to 3. So y here is 3. Y in the second one, -1 plus 5, which is going to be equal to 4. And for the third one, y is equal to 0 plus 5, which is equal to 5. And our points are -2 and 3, -1 and 4, 0 and 5. So let's put our points on the coordinate plane and join them together to make our straight line. So these are the points, these are the 3 points, -2 and 3, -1 and 4 for the y, and 0 and 5 for the third points. Join them together to make our straight line. Okay. Next, now graphing this, it's not gonna be easy if I assume points for x, because after I assume for x, I'm going to have to divide by 3 because y has a coefficient. So it's easier if one of the variables doesn't have a coefficient to assume for the other one. So I'm going to assume for y this time. So assume for y 0, 1, and 2. And let's get the corresponding x. So if y is equal to 0, so it's x plus 3 times 0, because it's 3y means 3 times y is equal to 7. So x is going to be equal to 3 times 0 is 0, so x is 7. Now if y is equal to 1, then x plus 3 times 1 equal to 7. Now remove this 3 from this side to the other side with a negative sign. So as x is equal to 4. Next, x plus 3 times 2 is equal to 7. So 3 times 2 is 6. So x is equal to 7 minus 6. Remove the 6 from this side to the other side with a negative sign. So 7 minus 6 is 1. So the points I'm going to plot are 7 and 0, 4 and 1, 1 and 2. So where on the x-axis is 7, here is the 7. And the y is 0, so I'm not going to go anywhere. It's on the x-axis. Where's 4 and 1? There is 4 and the y is 1, so I go up to the 1. 1 and 2, the x is 1 and the y is 2. So these are my 3 points. I am going to plot them and then I'm going to join them with the straight line. Okay. So it's easy up to now. Okay, let's see. Another way to draw the straight line is by the intercepts. So what do we mean by the intercepts? The intercepts are the points where the x-axis meets, the line meets the x and the y-axis. So the x-intercepts where the line meets the x-axis, the y-intercepts where the line meets the y-axis. So the point where this line meets the x-axis is here at -1, -2, -3. So it's at -3. So this point is -3 and yes, your y is 0. So the point where the line meets the y-axis is here. It's at your x is 0 and your y is 1. So notice that if you want to find the point where the line meets the x-axis, you put your y with 0, and if you want to find the point where the line meets the y-axis, so it's your x will be 0. So let's practice more. Now find the intercepts here. Here the x-axis is at 1 and 2. So your x is 0 and your y is automatically 0. Now the y-intercept where you meet the y-axis, your x is 0 and your y is -1, -2, -3. Let's see another line. Okay, this is where it meets the x-axis. where is the point? What's the coordinates of this point? Your x is 1 and your y is 0. How about this point? Your x is 0 and your y is 2. Now, is it clear? What do we mean by intercepts? Let's go to next point. So now he wants to find the intercepts of these 2 points, and then we want to graph these 2 straight lines. So the straight line, the first straight line is x plus y is equal to 5. We want to find the intercept. So if I want to find the x-intercept, the y is 0. Then the y is 0. So x plus 0 is equal to 5. So your x is 5. So the x-intercept will be our x is 5 and our y is a 0. But the y-intercept means that the x is 0. So put the x is 0 and then find y. Y will be 5. So your x is 0 and your y is 5. So let's graph this straight line just by putting the intercepts 5, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5, and the y is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your x is 0 and your y is 5. This is the second point, and we are going to join the straight line. Okay, let's see the next example. The next line is 2x minus y is equal to 4. So 2x, if I want to find the x-intercept, so our y is equal to 0. So it's 2x minus 0 is equal to 4. So 2x is equal to 4 means I'm going to divide by 2 both sides, so x is equal to 2. So the point is your x is 2 and your y is 0, so 2 and 0. So 2 and 0 is my first point, 2 and 0. I'm going to erase the board to find the y-intercept. Okay, now if I want to find the y-intercept, yes, my x is 0. So 2 multiplied by 0 minus y is equal to 4. So this is 0. Then negative y is equal to 4. Then y is equal to negative 4. And your second point, your x is 0 and your y is negative 4. So it's 0 and negative 4. So let's plot these points and then draw the straight line. Okay, 0 and negative 4. This is the first one. And 2 and 0 is the second one. And this is how to draw using the intercepts points of the x and y axis. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.